Disruptor, the unfiltered story of Elon Musk and the age of innovation. Chapter 1, Genesis in Pretoria. The future, as Elon Musk would come to envision it, was a canvas of electric cars silently gliding, rockets ascending to distant planets, and minds linked directly to machines. Yet the seeds of these extraordinary ambitions were sown not in the Silicon Valley he would later dominate, but in the sun-drenched, politically charged landscape of Pretoria, South Africa. It was here, on June 28, 1971, that Elon Reeve Musk entered the world, the firstborn to May Haldeman, a Canadian-born model and dietitian, and Errol Musk, a South African engineer and property developer. He was soon followed by his brother, Kimball, and sister, Tosca, completing a family dynamic that would prove as complex and foundational as the nation around them. The 1970s and 80s in South Africa were defined by the rigid and oppressive system of apartheid, a reality that cast a long shadow over daily life. For young Elon, however, his internal world often eclipsed external realities. From an early age, he was an anomaly, intensely introverted, prone to deep, prolonged reveries, and possessing a boundless intellectual curiosity. While other children played outdoors, Elon often found himself lost within the pages of books, devouring encyclopedias, philosophy texts, and most ardently, science fiction and fantasy. Authors like Isaac Asimov, with his expansive Foundation series, and J.R.R. Tolkien became his earliest mentors, crafting universes of intricate rules, grand challenges, and technological marvels that surely spurred his burgeoning imagination. This voracious reading habit was not merely a pastime. It was an immersive education, filtering the world through the lens of logic, problem-solving, and visionary possibility. His parents' marriage, already strained, dissolved in 1980, leaving Elon and his siblings to navigate a new family structure. Elon primarily lived with his father, Errol, an experience he later described as deeply difficult, though he rarely elaborated publicly on the specifics. This period, however, seems to have reinforced a sense of self-reliance and an almost defiant independence. Away from the pages of his beloved books, a different kind of world began to open up, the nascent realm of computing. In an age when personal computers were a rarity, Elon, with characteristic self-direction, taught himself to program. He spent hours coding, driven by a fascination with how instructions could bring complex ideas to life on a screen. His first tangible success arrived at the tender age of 12. He created a video game called Blastar, a simple space shooter where players battled aliens. Rather than simply play it, he sold the code to a South African computer magazine, PC Magazine, for $500, a significant sum for a child and a clear signal of his entrepreneurial spirit. It was his first experience of creating something digital and being compensated for it, a practical lesson in turning an idea into tangible value. While his intellectual life thrived, his social experiences were often fraught. School proved to be a challenging environment. His unconventional intensity, coupled with his quiet nature and unusual interests, made him a target for bullies. He faced repeated physical and emotional torment, enduring periods of isolation and hardship. These experiences, though painful, appear to have forged a deep-seated resilience and a desire to control his own destiny, shaping his adult character in ways perhaps unforeseen at the time. They taught him, in a visceral way, to persevere in the face of adversity and to develop a strong sense of personal conviction. As he approached adulthood, a crucial decision loomed: mandatory military service within the South African Defense Force, an institution deeply entwined with the apartheid regime. The prospect was unappealing, not just for its political implications, but because Elon had already set his sights on a different future. He saw North America, particularly the United States, as the crucible of innovation, the place where technology was truly advancing, and where his most ambitious dreams might actually take flight. He was convinced that if he wanted to participate in the grand challenges of inventing a better future, he needed to be there. This clarity of purpose, forged in the confines of a challenging childhood, would soon propel him across continents, towards Silicon Valley, and the profound disruption that lay ahead. Chapter 2, The Canadian Passage. For Elon Musk, South Africa, despite being his birthplace, felt less like a home and more like a launchpad. His gaze was fixed westward, towards a continent he perceived as the true frontier of progress and innovation. The looming specter of mandatory military service in the South African Defense Force, an institution intrinsically linked to the racially discriminatory apparatus of apartheid, cemented his resolve to leave. His mother, May, was Canadian-born, a fact that provided the legal pathway he needed. At 17, just shy of his 18th birthday in 1989, he packed his bags, severed ties with his South African past, and embarked on a journey that would redefine his future. He moved to Canada. His initial landing in Saskatchewan, while practical, was far from glamorous. The early days were a stark introduction to self-sufficiency. He navigated the bureaucracy of a new country and, with limited funds, took whatever jobs he could find to survive. Tales from this period paint a picture of relentless grind. Cleaning out a boiler room of a local pulp mill, shoveling grain, working at a lumber mill. These were not the intellectual pursuits he crowed, but they were the necessary crucible of personal responsibility. He stayed with various relatives of his mother's, leveraging family connections to make ends meet, all while absorbing the reality of starting from scratch in a foreign land. While the manual labor provided basic sustenance, his academic ambitions were far more sophisticated. In 1990, he enrolled at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. Here, he began to immerse himself in physics and economics, subjects that appealed to his dual fascination with the fundamental laws governing the universe and the practical mechanisms of society and commerce. Yet, Canada, while a vital stepping stone, was still not the epicenter of the technological revolution he yearned to join. His sights remained firmly fixed on the United States, the ultimate destination he believed held the key to unlocking his potential. After 2 years at Queen's, a pivotal transfer occurred in 1992. Elon moved to the University of Pennsylvania, a prestigious Ivy League institution that offered the blend of rigorous academic study and proximity to the cutting edge of American innovation. At UPenn, he fully indulged his intellectual appetites, pursuing not one, but 2 bachelor's degrees. He earned a Bachelor of Science in Physics from the College of Arts and Sciences, delving into the foundational principles of how the world works. Complementing this, he also secured a Bachelor of Science in Economics from the Wharton School, one of the world's leading business schools. This dual major wasn't accidental. It was a deliberate choice that underscored his holistic approach. He wanted to understand not only the scientific basis of future technologies, but also the economic frameworks necessary to bring these technologies to market and integrate them into society. His time at UPenn wasn't solely confined to libraries and lecture halls. He also exhibited an early flair for unconventional entrepreneurship. With his friend Adio Ressi, he transformed their surprisingly spacious fraternity house into an illicit, albeit well-patronized, speakeasy. This venture, operating outside conventional norms, offered a practical, real-world lesson in business. Managing inventory, attracting customers, handling cash flow, and operating under the radar. It was a testament to his innate ability to identify a need, a social space for students, devise a solution, and execute it, even if it bent the rules slightly. As his undergraduate years drew to a close, Elon Musk remained driven by the same fundamental question that had propelled him from South Africa. How could he make the most significant impact on the future of humanity? He considered 3 areas he felt were most impactful: the internet, renewable energy, and space exploration. With his dual degrees in hand, he gained admission to a PhD program in applied physics and materials science at Stanford University, one of the world's leading research institutions, nestled in the heart of Silicon Valley, the technological mecca he had long dreamed of. The stage was set for a deep dive into academia and cutting-edge research. But true to his nature, Elon Musk was about to take a radically different turn, recognizing that the pace of innovation he yearned for might not be found in the structured halls of academia, but in the chaotic, exhilarating world of startups. Chapter 3: Silicon Dreams and .com Dollars. The acceptance letter from Stanford University for a PhD in applied physics and materials science represented the culmination of years of academic rigor and intellectual curiosity. It was a golden ticket to the cutting edge of scientific research, placing Elon Musk squarely in the heart of Silicon Valley, the burgeoning epicenter of technological revolution. Yet, for a man already impatient with the slow pace of traditional institutions, 2 days would prove to be enough. 2 days into his Stanford PhD program, in a decision that foreshadowed his future modus operandi, Elon Musk dropped out. His reasoning was simple, yet profound: the Internet. In 1995, the World Wide Web was still a nascent, almost mystical entity, yet its potential was already clear to those with foresight. Elon saw it not just as a technology, but as a paradigm shift, an acceleration engine for human progress. The academic path, with its deliberate research cycles and long-term horizons, felt too slow, too theoretical in light of the explosive opportunities unfolding. He believed, with unwavering conviction, that the greatest impact could be made by building, by creating, by diving headfirst into the entrepreneurial fray. With $1,000 to his name, he teamed up with his younger brother, Kimball. Together, they founded their first significant venture, Global Link Information Network. The name was soon refined to Zip2. Their vision was remarkably prescient for the time: to create an online city guide with maps and business directories for newspapers. In essence, they were building an early version of what we now take for granted as online local search and digital mapping, long before Google Maps, Yelp, or even widespread broadband internet became commonplace. The early days of Zip2 were a testament to the raw, almost desperate dedication of hungry entrepreneurs. They worked out of a tiny, rented office in Palo Alto, a space so meager that Elon often slept on a couch, using the local YMCA for showers. Meals were simple and sparse, fueled by cheap ramen noodles and an unshakable belief in their mission. This period of extreme frugality and relentless effort would become a common theme in Musk's early career, forging a resilience that would be necessary for the far greater challenges to come. Their business model was elegant in its simplicity. License their software to newspaper companies, helping these traditional media giants transition into the nascent digital age. They presented themselves as the digital bridge, allowing newspapers to offer online content and interactive directories to their readers. It was a tough sell. Many old-guard newspaper executives were skeptical, wedded to print, and slow to grasp the implications of the Internet. The Musk brothers, however, were persistent, driven by a missionary zeal for the digital future. The hard work eventually paid off. Zip2 secured deals with major newspaper corporations, including the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune. The small startup began to gain traction. The early days were fraught with technical challenges, funding struggles, and the intense pressure of building a company from the ground up with limited resources. Elon, true to his engineering roots, was deeply involved in the technical architecture, often coding late into the night. Their dedication culminated in 1999 when, just 4 years after its founding, Zip2 was acquired by Compaq Computer Corporation's Alta Vista division. The deal was valued at a staggering $307 million in cash and $34 million in stock options. For Elon Musk, who reportedly received $22 million from the sale, it was an astonishing success. It marked his first millions, validating his decision to drop out of Stanford and pursue the chaotic, exhilarating world of startups. It was proof that his radical ideas and relentless work ethic could translate into tangible, massive success. But for Musk, financial success was not an end in itself. It was merely a means to an end. The money from Zip2 was not for lavish personal indulgence, but for reinvestment into even grander visions. He had glimpsed the transformative power of the Internet, and he was already formulating plans for his next venture, one that sought to disrupt an even more fundamental aspect of human interaction: money itself. The dot-com dollars from Zip2 would become the seed capital for his next, far more ambitious foray into uncharted digital territory. Chapter 4: The X Factor. Having tasted the intoxicating success of Zip2, Elon Musk was not content to rest on his newly acquired millions. For him, the windfall was merely fuel for the next rocket. His mind, perpetually scanning for industries ripe for disruption, landed squarely on an area seemingly more entrenched than even old media newspapers: financial services. He saw a landscape dominated by slow-moving, bureaucratic banks, and inefficient payment systems. Just as the internet had transformed information delivery, he believed it could revolutionize money. In March 1999, Musk founded X.com. His vision was audacious: an online bank, a one-stop digital hub for all financial services, banking, payments, investments. He wanted to create a seamless, integrated platform that would render traditional brick-and-mortar banks obsolete. This was a radical concept at a time when most people still relied on checks and physical branches for their financial needs. Musk poured a significant portion of his $22 million from the Zip2 sale into X.com, demonstrating his profound belief in its potential. Almost immediately, X.com found itself in direct competition with another promising startup, Confinity. Originally focused on cryptography, Confinity had developed a highly popular and convenient online payment product, PayPal. PayPal allowed users to send money via email, a revolutionary concept for the nascent e-commerce world. The battle for market share between X.com and Confinity was fierce, both companies vying for dominance in the burgeoning online payment space. Recognizing the strategic advantage of combining forces, rather than bleeding each other dry in competition, X.com and Confinity agreed to merge in March 2000. The combined entity retained the X.com corporate name, but PayPal's product quickly became the star. Musk, leveraging his status as the largest shareholder, secured the position of CEO for the newly merged company. Musk's tenure as CEO, however, was marked by significant internal strife. His management style, characterized by a relentless drive, demanding schedules, and an insistence on his own technical visions, often clashed with the more collaborative culture that had developed at Confinity. A key point of contention was Musk's preference for Microsoft technologies over the open-source Linux systems favored by the original PayPal engineers, including luminaries like Peter Thiel and Max Levchin. Musk argued for scalability and stability, while others championed flexibility and community. These ideological differences, combined with his sometimes abrasive decision-making, created deep rifts within the executive team. The tension culminated in a dramatic boardroom coup. In September 2000, while Elon Musk was away on his honeymoon in Brazil, the PayPal Mafia, a group of original Confinity founders and employees, orchestrated his removal as CEO. Peter Thiel was installed in his place. It was a humiliating personal blow for Musk, yet a testament to his unique position. He remained the company's largest shareholder. He was still deeply invested, financially, if no longer operationally, in the company's success. He chose to channel his considerable capital and influence into advocating for PayPal's continued focus on payments, believing it was the product's strongest differentiator. The bold bet on online payments paid off handsomely. Just 2 years later, in October 2002, eBay, then the undisputed titan of online auctions, acquired PayPal for a staggering $1.5 billion. For Elon Musk, as the company's biggest shareholder, this transaction translated into a second, much larger fortune. After taxes, he received approximately $165 million. This second massive windfall was not seen by Musk as a ticket to early retirement or a life of leisure. Instead, it was an even larger war chest, a tangible means to pursue the truly audacious visions that had gestated in his mind since childhood. He had made 2 successful online companies, proving his ability to build, disrupt, and exit for significant profit. But the internet, while transformative, was not the grand enough canvas for the problems he believed needed solving. With his newfound capital, Musk was about to embark on ventures that would push the very boundaries of human endeavor, targeting challenges few dared to dream of, let alone attempt. The fundamental reimagining of transportation and the audacious quest to make humanity an interplanetary species. 2 words echoed in his mind at this crucial juncture, words that would define the next chapters of his life. Space and electric. Chapter 5, Dreaming of Mars, the Birth of SpaceX. The year 2002 saw Elon Musk, newly enriched by the PayPal acquisition, at a personal crossroads. He had successfully harnessed the burgeoning power of the internet to create 2 highly profitable companies. His peers might have settled into the comfortable life of a venture capitalist or a serial internet entrepreneur. But Musk's ambitions ranged far beyond software. He was, fundamentally, an engineer and a futurist. The millions from PayPal were not for quiet enjoyment, but for investment in the very fabric of humanity's future. He had identified three major areas crucial for transforming the human condition: the internet, renewable energy, and space exploration. The internet had yielded success. Now it was time for the stars. Musk had been captivated by space since childhood, fueled by science fiction and a deep conviction that humanity's long-term survival depended on becoming a multiplanetary species. He saw a grim future if humans remained trapped on Earth, vulnerable to existential risks ranging from asteroid impacts to pandemics. Mars was the key to ensuring humanity's continuity, a new frontier that could reignite the spirit of discovery. However, the existing space industry was, in his view, stagnant and exorbitant. Launch costs were astronomical, procedures were slow, and the entire enterprise seemed mired in bureaucracy and a lack of innovation. After researching the cost of sending a greenhouse to Mars, a project designed to inspire public interest in space travel, he concluded that simply buying rockets was prohibitively expensive. He flew to Russia 3 times, attempting to purchase intercontinental ballistic missiles for this purpose, only to be met with exorbitant prices and indifference from the Russian leadership. It was during these frustrating negotiations that a realization solidified. If he wanted cheaper rockets, he would have to build them himself. And not just build them, but radically rethink their design and manufacturing process. He was convinced that the cost of space travel could be reduced by a factor of 10, or even 100, through fundamental engineering principles and a business model that prioritized reusability and mass production. Thus, in June 2002, Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, or SpaceX, was born. Musk's initial investment was an astonishing $100 million of his own money. The venture was met with widespread skepticism, even derision, from the established aerospace community. Rocket science is hard, they warned. You can't just walk in and build rockets. But Musk believed his outsider's perspective was an advantage. He brought a software development approach to hardware: iterate quickly, test aggressively, and embrace rapid failure as a path to learning. SpaceX's initial goal was modest by Musk's ultimate standards: to build a small, reliable, and affordable orbital launch vehicle for satellites. This became the Falcon 1. The company began with a small team operating out of a warehouse in El Segundo, California. Musk personally oversaw engineering and design, often working long hours, his cot placed near the factory floor. He focused on vertical integration, building almost every component in-house, a stark contrast to the traditional aerospace model of relying on a vast network of suppliers. This gave SpaceX unparalleled control over cost, quality, and production schedules. The first few years were characterized by an almost impossible struggle. The Falcon 1, designed to be the world's first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to reach orbit, faced repeated failures. The first launch in 2006, from the remote Kwajalein Atoll in the Pacific, ended in flames shortly after liftoff. The second, in 2007, also failed. The third, in 2008, suffered a fatal engine shutdown, once again failing to reach orbit. 3 launches, 3 failures. The aerospace industry gloated, and critics called it spacefo. These failures were not just engineering setbacks. They were immense financial drains. Musk was pouring his remaining PayPal fortune into SpaceX, risking everything with each launch. The relentless pressure of failure was immense, but Musk refused to give up. He held all-hands meetings after each failure, identifying problems, making immediate changes, and rallying his demoralized team. His unwavering belief in the mission, making humanity a multiplanetary species, served as a powerful rallying cry. Then, on September 28, 2008, the 4th launch of the Falcon 1 soared from Kwajalein. Against incredible odds, after 3 previous failures and with barely any money left, the rocket successfully reached orbit. It was a pivotal moment, not just for SpaceX, but for the entire private space industry. A small, scrappy startup had accomplished what many had deemed impossible. This triumph, however, arrived at a precarious time, as the world plunged into an economic crisis that threatened to engulf not just SpaceX, but also another nascent company Musk had dramatically committed to, an electric car startup called Tesla. The Valley of Death was about to claim its next victims. Chapter 6: Electric Ambition. The Tesla revolution begins. Even as Elon Musk poured his dwindling fortune into the fiery ambitions of SpaceX to conquer the heavens, his entrepreneurial spirit was simultaneously igniting a revolution on Earth. His fascination with the future of humanity extended beyond space exploration. It encompassed the critical need for sustainable energy and transportation. The automobile, a century-old invention polluting and consuming finite resources, was a prime candidate for his disruptive gaze. The idea for an electric car company was not entirely his own. In July 2003, two Silicon Valley engineers, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, founded Tesla Motors. Their initial vision was to build a high-performance electric sports car, demonstrating that electric vehicles could be exciting, fast, and desirable, not just golf carts or glorified appliances. They named the company after Nikola Tesla, the brilliant electrical engineer whose work on alternating current paved the way for modern electrical systems. Elon Musk's connection to Tesla Motors began in February 2004, when he led the Series A investment round, pouring a hefty $6.5 million into the fledgling company. He became the chairman of the board and, crucially, took an active role in product design and strategic direction. While the founders started the company, Musk quickly became its driving force, influencing key decisions such as the design of the Roadster, the selection of components, and the overall business strategy. His initial involvement was as an investor and chairman, but his influence quickly grew, moving from patron to product architect, then, eventually, to CEO. The first product, the Tesla Roadster, was an audacious gamble. Built on the chassis of a Lotus Elise, it wasn't merely an electric car. It was a high-performance sports car capable of accelerating from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds, with a range of over 200 miles on a single charge. This was unheard of for an electric vehicle at the time. The Roadster was designed to shatter perceptions, to prove that electric propulsion could offer superior performance, not just ecological responsibility. It was a conscious decision to start at the top of the market and move down, using a halo product to generate desire and fund development for more affordable mass-market vehicles. From the outset, Tesla's journey was fraught with challenges. The automotive industry is notoriously capital-intensive, requiring immense resources for research, development, manufacturing, and distribution. Building a car, especially from scratch, was orders of magnitude more complex than designing software or even constructing rockets, which, while complex, were produced in significantly smaller numbers than road vehicles. There were disputes among the early leadership, including disagreements over design, production methodologies, and financial planning. Musk, with his characteristic hands-on approach and demanding standards, often clashed with his colleagues. These disputes eventually led to the departures of both Eberhard and Tarpenning. By 2008, Musk had taken on the title of CEO, fully assuming the operational reins of the company. The production of the Roadster was plagued by delays, cost overruns, and technical hurdles related to its groundbreaking battery technology and drivetrain. Battery pack engineering, integrating thousands of small lithium-ion cells safely and efficiently, was a monumental task. Every component had to be designed for high performance and durability, a stark contrast to the less demanding requirements of consumer electronics batteries. Quality control issues arose, and customer expectations, fueled by the car's high price tag over $100,000, were exceptionally high. Despite the difficulties, the first Tesla Roadsters began to be delivered to customers in 2008. It was a groundbreaking achievement, the first highway-legal production electric vehicle to use lithium-ion battery cells, and the first to travel more than 200 miles on a single charge. It captured the imagination of early adopters and environmentalists, proving that electric cars could be both cool and clean. Prominent figures, including celebrities and politicians, were seen driving them, generating invaluable buzz. However, just as the Roadster was finding its stride, the global economy was teetering on the brink of collapse. The year 2008 would present an existential threat not just to Tesla, but also to SpaceX and indeed to Elon Musk himself. He had invested nearly all of his remaining capital, and both companies were bleeding money, facing bankruptcy on multiple fronts. The challenges were no longer just technical or manufacturing. They were systemic, threatening to extinguish his dual dreams of electric cars and space colonization before they could even truly take flight. The stakes could not have been higher. Chapter 7. The Valley of Death. The year 2008 dawned with an undercurrent of global financial instability that would soon erupt into a full-blown crisis. For Elon Musk, juggling the nascent ventures of SpaceX and Tesla, it was not merely an economic downturn. It was an existential threat. Both companies were bleeding cash, perpetually on the verge of bankruptcy, fueled almost entirely by Musk's personal fortune. The combined pressure of 3 failed rocket launches at SpaceX and the persistent production hell at Tesla created a perfect storm, pushing Musk to the brink of financial ruin and immense personal strain. SpaceX had endured 3 catastrophic failures of its Falcon 9 rocket. Each exploded dream was a financial drain, forcing Musk to pump more millions into the company. The 4th launch, critical for survival, was scheduled for September 2008. If it failed, SpaceX was finished. The company had contracts, but they were contingent on successful launches. Morale was low, doubt was high, and the world was watching, mostly with skepticism. Meanwhile, Tesla was facing its own dire circumstances. The Roadster, while an engineering marvel, was proving incredibly difficult and expensive to manufacture. Production delays were endemic, quality issues arose, and costs spiraled. The company was burning through cash at an alarming rate, far outpacing its revenue from the limited number of Roadsters sold. Musk, despite taking the helm as CEO, was struggling to secure additional funding. The traditional automotive industry scoffed at the idea of an electric car startup surviving, let alone thriving. As the global financial crisis intensified in the fall of 2008, credit markets froze. Investors, reeling from the subprime mortgage crisis and the collapse of major financial institutions like Lehman Brothers, pulled back dramatically. Venture capital, once readily available for promising tech startups, vanished overnight. Access to capital was precisely what both SpaceX and Tesla desperately needed to survive. Musk's personal financial situation became increasingly precarious. He had invested approximately $100 million into SpaceX and another $70 million into Tesla, essentially every penny he had made from the PayPal sale. He was reportedly living off loans and relying on his sympathetic employees. The pressure was immense. He often likened the situation to staring into the abyss. The public perception was that he was an eccentric dreamer, perhaps even a fool, pouring fortunes into impossible ventures. Just as the global economy was unraveling, a flicker of hope emerged for SpaceX on September 28, 2008. The 4th Falcon 9 launch roared to life. Against all odds, propelled by a mixture of desperation and relentless engineering, it successfully reached orbit. This was a monumental triumph, making SpaceX the first private company to achieve orbit. It proved their technology and provided a lifeline. Even with this success, bankruptcy loomed. On December 23, 2008, just a few business days before Christmas and the end of what might have been his company's final year, Musk was faced with a stark choice: save one company or let both crumble. He had enough capital left for one last infusion. In a desperate, all-or-nothing bet, he decided to split the remaining money between SpaceX and Tesla, gambling that both could somehow pull through. The miracle he needed arrived on Christmas Eve, 2008. NASA, recognizing the potential of SpaceX after the Falcon 9's success, awarded the company a commercial resupply services (CRS) contract worth $1.6 billion. This contract was not merely an infusion of funds. It was a massive vote of confidence from a powerful government agency, effectively legitimizing SpaceX and providing it with long-term stability and access to further capital. For Tesla, the lifeline came in the form of a late-night call on December 23. Musk successfully closed a critical funding round, securing $40 million in debt financing from existing investors and a significant loan from Daimler, the parent company of Mercedes-Benz, which also acquired a nearly 10% stake in Tesla. This deal, executed literally hours before Tesla would have gone bankrupt on Christmas Eve, provided the capital to keep the lights on and continue Model S development. These twin salvations, arriving independently and miraculously within days of each other during the darkest hours of the 2008 financial crisis, were pivotal. They represented the critical turning point where Elon Musk pulled his companies back from the valley of death. He had bet everything, his reputation, his sanity, his entire fortune, and against all reasonable expectations, he had emerged. The near-annihilation experience reinforced his belief in his own judgment and hardened his resolve. Both SpaceX and Tesla had narrowly avoided collapse, setting the stage for their future ascensions, finally free to focus on building rather than simply surviving. The struggle had been agonizing, but it ultimately made them stronger, more self-reliant, and fundamentally reshaped Musk's approach to leadership and risk. Chapter 8. Ascendant Rockets and Automated Cars. Having stared into the abyss and emerged, the period following the harrowing near-collapse of 2008 marked a dramatic shift for both SpaceX and Tesla. With newfound funding and, critically, validated technology, Elon Musk and his teams could finally transition from a desperate struggle for survival to an ambitious pursuit of their long-term visions. For SpaceX, the $1.6 billion NASA Commercial Resupply Services (CRS) contract was a game-changer. It wasn't just money, it was a powerful endorsement from the world's most prestigious space agency. This provided the stability and resources to accelerate the development of their next-generation launch vehicle, the Falcon 9. Unlike the small Falcon 1, the Falcon 9 was designed to be a medium-lift rocket, capable of launching larger satellites, and, crucially, the Dragon cargo capsule. The Falcon 9 program was an intense undertaking. SpaceX continued its philosophy of vertical integration, minimizing reliance on external suppliers and building most components in-house. This allowed for rapid iteration and significant cost control. On June 4, 2010, the first Falcon 9 successfully launched from Cape Canaveral, carrying a mock-up of the Dragon spacecraft. This successful maiden flight marked a new era for commercial spaceflight and paved the way for the company's ultimate objective: human spaceflight. The Dragon capsule itself was another monumental challenge. Designed to deliver cargo to the International Space Station, ISS, it represented SpaceX's ambition to play a direct role in ISS resupply missions previously exclusively operated by government entities. On December 8, 2010, the Dragon capsule made history, becoming the first commercially built spacecraft to be recovered from orbit. This successful demonstration validated SpaceX's capabilities to NASA, cementing their place as a reliable partner in space transportation. In May 2012, Dragon made its first successful rendezvous and docking with the ISS, delivering cargo and returning with scientific experiments. With each successful mission, SpaceX chipped away at the long-held notion that space exploration was solely the domain of national governments. They were proving that a private company could do it and do it more efficiently. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Tesla was also entering a new chapter. The short-term crisis averted, the company could now fully concentrate on its next major product. The Model S, the Roadster, had been a proof of concept, a limited-run halo car. The Model S was intended to be Tesla's first mass-market luxury sedan, a direct competitor to established players like BMW and Mercedes-Benz, but with electric propulsion. Musk's vision for the Model S was revolutionary. He insisted on a design that was not only aesthetically pleasing, but also fundamentally rethought the car's architecture around its electric powertrain. The battery pack was integrated into the floor, creating a remarkably low center of gravity and maximizing interior space. The absence of a traditional internal combustion engine allowed for two trunks, a large one in the back and a front trunk, where the engine would normally be. The car featured a minimalist interior dominated by a massive 17-inch touchscreen, replacing most physical buttons and offering over-the-air software updates. A a concept virtually unheard of in the automotive industry. The development of the Model S was still a grueling process, fraught with engineering challenges and the pressures of scaling production. However, unlike the Roadster, this time Tesla had a more robust engineering team and the invaluable lessons learned from its initial foray into manufacturing. In June 2012, the first Model S vehicles were delivered. The car was an immediate critical and consumer success. Reviewers lauded its performance, range, striking design, and innovative technology. It won numerous awards, including Motor Trend's 2013 Car of the Year, a rarity for an electric vehicle. The Model S's success was critical on multiple levels. It validated Tesla's engineering prowess, demonstrating that an electric car could be both practical and desirable, capable of rivaling and even surpassing gasoline-powered luxury sedans. It also solidified Tesla's reputation and paved the way for further capital injections, including a crucial loan from the U.S. Department of Energy. Crucially, the Model S created a growing customer base and, for the first time, provided Tesla with significant and sustainable revenue. To support the growing number of Teslas on the road, Musk also initiated the rollout of the supercharger network, a deliberate move to address range anxiety, the fear that an electric car would run out of power on a long trip. These proprietary, high-speed charging stations were strategically placed along major travel routes, enabling long-distance electric travel and providing another unique selling proposition for Tesla. By 2013 to 2014, both SpaceX and Tesla were no longer fighting for survival. They were growing, establishing themselves as legitimate forces in their respective industries. The successful launches of Falcon 9 and Dragon, coupled with the critical acclaim and sales success of the Model S, demonstrated that Musk's audacious bets were beginning to pay off. He had proven wrong the skeptics who said a private company couldn't launch rockets or that electric cars were confined to niche markets. This newfound stability allowed Musk to articulate an even grander vision, one that transcended individual products and outlined a comprehensive plan for humanity's sustainable future. Chapter 9, The Master Plan, Part 2. By the mid-2010s, with SpaceX proving its mettle in space and Tesla's Model S gaining accolades on Earth, Elon Musk's dual ventures began to shift from mere survival to global influence. This period saw Musk articulate a more holistic vision for both companies, moving beyond individual product launches to a grand, interconnected strategy for accelerating humanity's transition to a sustainable energy future. This strategic blueprint, often referred to as the Master Plan, Part 2, a follow-up to a less formal Master Plan outlined in 2006, revealed the depth of his integrated thinking. The core of this Master Plan, Part 2, published in 2016, centered on 4 key pillars designed to optimize and expand the impact of sustainable energy. Create stunning solar roofs with integrated battery storage. Expand the electric vehicle line to cover all major segments. Develop a much safer than human driver, autonomous driving. Enable cars to make money for their owners when not in use. While the final point concerning autonomous profitability would take longer to develop, the first 3 points directly led to significant corporate actions and product developments. Musk's belief was that merely producing electric vehicles was insufficient without a scalable, renewable energy source. He viewed SolarCity, a solar energy company co-founded by his cousins Lyndon and Peter Rive, as a crucial piece of this puzzle. In August 2016, a controversial and heavily scrutinized acquisition of SolarCity by Tesla was completed. Critics argued that SolarCity was an ailing company that Tesla was effectively bailing out, risking its own balance sheet. However, Musk passionately advocated for the merger, asserting that it was a logical and essential step towards his vision of a fully integrated clean energy ecosystem. The acquisition was intended to allow Tesla to offer a seamless energy solution, generating clean power at home via solar panels or the much-hyped solar roof tiles, storing it with Powerwall and PowerPack, and then using it to power electric vehicles like the Model S, X, and the upcoming Model 3. The solar roof, unveiled shortly after the merger, was perhaps the most ambitious aspect of this integration. It was designed to replace traditional roof tiles with solar-generating tiles that looked indistinguishable from conventional roofing materials, offering both aesthetics and energy production. While a brilliant concept, its manufacturing proved far more complex and costly than initially anticipated, leading to significant delays and limited deployments. Alongside the push for solar integration, Tesla aggressively expanded its vehicle lineup. Critical to reaching a broader market was the development of the Model 3, intended to be a mass-market electric vehicle with a more affordable price point, around $35,000 before incentives. The Model 3 was revealed in March 2016, generating unprecedented demand with hundreds of thousands of pre-orders. This vehicle represented Tesla's shift from a niche luxury brand to a serious contender in the mainstream automotive industry. Following the Model S, Tesla had also introduced the Model X in 2015, an electric SUV known for its distinctive falcon wing doors and large panoramic windshield, further diversifying its luxury offerings. Beyond new car models, the supercharger network continued to expand globally, alleviating range anxiety and cementing Tesla's advantage in charging infrastructure. Tesla also introduced the Powerwall, a home battery designed to store solar energy for use during peak demand or power outages, and the larger power pack for commercial and utility-scale energy storage. These products aim to decentralize energy generation and storage, empowering consumers and contributing to grid stability. Perhaps the most ambitious, and to this day, most elusive part of the master plan, Part Deux, was the relentless pursuit of full self-driving, FSD, capabilities. Musk continually emphasized that autonomous driving was not merely a convenience, but a critical safety feature that would save countless lives by eliminating human error. Tesla's approach differed from many competitors. Instead of relying solely on expensive LiDAR technology, Tesla focused on an advanced camera-based system combined with sophisticated artificial intelligence software. This commitment led to the gradual rollout of various iterative autopilot features, steadily working towards the grand promise of full self-driving, a promise that has remained a central and often controversial aspect of Tesla's long-term vision. During this period, Elon Musk began to leverage his increasingly powerful public platform, particularly Twitter, to communicate directly with customers, investors, and the public. He became a one-man marketing and PR machine, unfiltered and often provocative. This direct communication allowed him to bypass traditional media, but it also opened the door to controversies and intense public scrutiny, setting the stage for the dramatic challenges that would define the later half of the decade. The ambition of the master plan was immense, but its execution would prove to be a brutal trial by fire. Chapter 10: Tunnels, Chips, and Tweets. Even as Elon Musk pushed the boundaries of rocketry and electric vehicles, his restless intellect and relentless pursuit of solutions to complex societal problems led him to yet more audacious ventures. This period saw the informal genesis of the Boring Company, a literal attempt to escape urban congestion, and Neuralink, a profound dive into the future of human-computer interaction. Concurrently, Musk's increasingly influential role on social media, particularly Twitter, began to define his public persona, transforming him from a visionary CEO into a global, often polarizing, figure. The inspiration for the Boring Company arose from a simple frustration: Los Angeles traffic. Stuck in gridlock in 2016, Musk mused publicly about designing three-dimensional transport systems, specifically tunnels, to alleviate urban congestion. What started as a joke on Twitter quickly morphed into a serious undertaking. The premise was deceptively simple: dramatically reduce the cost and speed of tunnel construction. Traditional tunneling is slow and expensive. Musk aimed to increase tunneling machine power, improve the earth-moving process, and, crucially, reduce the diameter of tunnels while making them suitable for electric vehicles. The Boring Company was officially founded in 2016. Its early projects included a test tunnel under SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California, and a planned high-speed loop system for the Las Vegas Convention Center. The company's unique approach included developing its own sophisticated tunneling machines, dubbed Godot and Prufrock. and exploring the possibility of using the excavated dirt to create bricks for housing or sculptures, an economic angle aimed at offsetting costs. While still in its early stages of development and deployment, the Boring Company symbolized Musk's belief that fundamental engineering problems, even those as mundane as traffic, could be solved with radical, disruptive thinking. Perhaps even more profound in its implications was Neuralink, launched in 2016. Driven by a concern about humanity's future in an age of increasingly powerful artificial intelligence, Musk proposed that humans needed to achieve a symbiosis with artificial intelligence to avoid becoming irrelevant or, worse, subservient to AI. Neuralink's goal is to develop ultra-high bandwidth brain-machine interfaces to connect human brains directly with computers. The initial applications for Neuralink were pragmatic and humanitarian, helping individuals with severe neurological conditions, such as paralysis, to control computers and mobile devices directly with their thoughts, or restoring functions like sight and hearing. Longer term, Musk envisions a future where Neuralink devices could enhance human capabilities, improve memory, or even facilitate direct telepathic communication. The scientific and ethical challenges are immense, pushing the boundaries of neuroscience, robotics, and medical technology. Early demonstrations, featuring pigs with brain implants and monkeys playing video games with their minds, captivated public attention, highlighting both the promise and the profound questions raised by such technology. While these new ventures captured the cutting edge of technological innovation, Musk's personal platform was also undergoing a significant transformation. Twitter, a social media platform he had joined in 2009, became his primary, unfiltered channel for communication. He used it to announce product updates, engage with customers, field questions, recruit talent, share memes, and, increasingly, engage in public debates and express controversial opinions. His direct, often impulsive, and frequently provocative tweeting style garnered him millions of followers, offering an unprecedented level of access to a CEO of his stature. It was a powerful tool for marketing and brand building, allowing him to bypass traditional media gatekeepers. However, this unfiltered communication also led to moments of chaos, controversy, and legal scrutiny. Public comments about taking Tesla private, or remarks about specific individuals, landed him in hot water with the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and in court with defamation lawsuits. This period marked a turning point in Musk's public image. He was no longer just the entrepreneur behind groundbreaking companies. He was becoming a global icon, a figure whose pronouncements, however trivial or profound, commanded immediate attention. His tweets became news, his opinions amplified, and his persona solidified as a blend of visionary, provocateur, and internet meme king. He embraced the role of the disruptor, but also began to experience the intense scrutiny that comes with such a prominent and unconventional public presence. The stage was set for the next chapter, where his most ambitious projects would face some of their toughest tests yet, under the glare of intense scrutiny magnified by his own social media presence. Chapter 11. Production Hell and Public Scrutiny. The years 2017 to 2019 represented perhaps the most tumultuous period in Tesla's history, defined by what Elon Musk famously dubbed production hell for the Model 3. This brutal phase tested not only Tesla's manufacturing capabilities, but also Musk's leadership, pushing him to the absolute limits of endurance and exposing him to unprecedented public and regulatory scrutiny. The Model 3 was pivotal to Tesla's survival and its mission. It was designed to transition Tesla from a niche luxury electric car manufacturer to a mainstream automotive player. With a starting price point of around $35,000 before incentives and hundreds of thousands of pre-orders, the Model 3 represented Tesla's promise of affordable, mass-produced electric vehicles. Meeting this demand, however, proved exponentially more difficult than anticipated. Musk's vision for Model 3 production was to build a highly automated alien dreadnought factory, relying heavily on robots, conveyors, and advanced manufacturing techniques. The reality, however, was a chaotic struggle. Robots meant to speed up production instead caused bottlenecks. Parts supply chains broke down. Manual processes, often inefficient and prone to error, had to be introduced to compensate for the failing automation. The initial production targets of 5,000 Model 3s per week seemed laughably out of reach. Musk responded with his characteristic intensity, often working 100-hour weeks, sleeping on the factory floor, and personally overseeing every detail of the production line. He publicly stated he was foregoing breaks and weekends, focusing his waking hours on resolving bottlenecks, troubleshooting machinery, and motivating his teams. This hands-on, almost obsessive, involvement from the CEO became legendary, a testament to his sheer will, but also indicative of the deep operational problems plaguing the company. He called it production hell because it truly felt like a battle for survival every single day. Tesla's stock price became extraordinarily volatile during this period, swinging wildly with every production update, every tweet from Musk, and every analyst report. Short sellers bet heavily against the company, amplifying negative news and often questioning Tesla's solvency. This intense financial pressure, combined with the manufacturing struggles, took a significant toll on Musk's health and public demeanor. He appeared visibly stressed in interviews and on earnings calls, often engaging in combative exchanges with analysts. Adding to the immense operational pressure were legal and regulatory challenges. In August 2018, Musk tweeted, "I'm considering taking Tesla private at $420. Funding secured." This tweet, sent without formal communication to the board or a clear plan for funding, caused a stock price surge and drew immediate attention from the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. The SEC accused Musk of securities fraud, alleging that his statements were misleading and manipulative. The fallout was swift and severe. The SEC's lawsuit threatened Musk's leadership at Tesla. Ultimately, he reached a settlement with the SEC. He agreed to step down as Tesla's chairman for 3 years, pay a $20 million fine, and submit his future tweets about the company to legal review. Tesla itself also paid a $20 million fine. The incident highlighted the double-edged sword of Musk's direct communication style and the precarious balance between his visionary pronouncements and regulatory compliance. Beyond the SEC issues, Musk's public behavior became increasingly erratic. He smoked cannabis during a live podcast interview, raised eyebrows with his relationships, and continued to engage in controversial online behavior, often escalating arguments with critics, journalists, and even his own shareholders. This behavior, while building a cult-like following among his most dedicated supporters, alienated some investors and contributed to a perception of instability around the company. Despite the relentless challenges and personal toll, Tesla eventually began to ramp up Model 3 production. Through sheer force of will, operational fixes, and the relentless dedication of its employees, the company managed to hit and then exceed its weekly production targets. By early 2019, Model 3 delivery numbers were consistently increasing, leading to a significant turning point for the company. Tesla had survived its production hell, proven its ability to manufacture at scale, and emerged as a formidable force in the global automotive industry. But the experience left an indelible mark on Musk and solidified his reputation as a maverick leader who would push boundaries, even at the cost of personal and professional controversy. Chapter 12. Starship and Beyond. With the Model 3's production woes largely behind them, Tesla found stable footing, and SpaceX could once again fully turn its attention to its most audacious goal, making humanity a multiplanetary species. For Elon Musk, Mars was not merely a distant dream, it was an imperative for human survival and advancement. The vehicle to achieve this interplanetary leap was no longer the Falcon 9, but a completely new, far larger, and more capable system. Starship. The concept behind Starship was revolutionary in its ambition. Unlike the expendable launch systems that dominate spaceflight, Starship was designed to be fully and rapidly reusable. Both its Super Heavy booster and the Starship upper stage were intended to land back on Earth, be rapidly refueled, and fly again. This radical reusability, Musk argued, was the only way to achieve the necessary cost reduction to make space travel, and eventually, colonization, economically viable. Imagine commercial airliners that were discarded after a single flight. That was the inefficiency he aimed to eliminate from space. Development began in earnest in 2018 at SpaceX's facility in Boca Chica, Texas, a remote coastal area chosen for its isolation and vast space for testing. True to Musk's first principles, thinking and rapid iteration philosophy, the Starship development process has been remarkably iterative and public. Instead of traditional monolithic aerospace development, SpaceX built numerous prototypes, each designed to test specific aspects of the vehicle, from its new Raptor engines to its stainless steel construction and complex landing maneuvers. The early tests were a mix of exhilarating successes and spectacular failures. Prototypes like Starhopper, SN8, SN9, SN10, and others took to the skies, often for short-distance, hop tests, before attempting high-altitude flights followed by controlled belly flops and vertical landings. Some prototypes exploded upon landing, others suffered engine failures, and some returned intact only to be swiftly replaced by the next iteration. These explosions and rapid rebuilds, streamed live to millions online, were not seen as catastrophic failures by Musk and his team, but as rapid learning opportunities. "Failure is an option here," Musk famously stated. "If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough." The choice of stainless steel for Starship's construction was another unconventional decision. Traditionally, space vehicles are built from expensive, custom-fabricated carbon composites or aluminum alloys. But stainless steel, while heavier, offered several advantages. It is cheaper, easier to work with at scale, and performs better at the extreme temperatures encountered during re-entry. It allowed SpaceX to build prototypes quickly and cheaply, accelerating their learning curve. The ultimate goal for Starship is breathtaking in its scope: to transport up to 100 people or over 100 tons of cargo to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. This capability is not just for scientific missions, but for the establishment of self-sustaining human settlements. Musk's vision extends to building entire cities on Mars, powered by solar energy and supported by sophisticated life support systems. The sheer scale of Starship, when fully integrated with its super heavy booster, would make it the most powerful launch vehicle ever built by a significant margin. While the primary focus remained on Mars, Starship also held tremendous potential for Earth-to-Earth travel, promising to transport passengers to almost anywhere on the planet in under an hour, and to enable a new era of moon missions, including NASA's Artemis program, for which Starship was selected as the human landing system. The development of Starship underscored Musk's unique approach to engineering and entrepreneurship. Set an audacious goal, break it down into fundamental problems, aggressively test solutions, and iterate at breakneck speed, embracing risk and failure as intrinsic parts of the innovation process. It required an unwavering belief in the long-term vision, even in the face of repeated setbacks and ridicule. By the early 2020s, Starship had progressed from a concept on paper to a tangible, towering presence dominating the South Texas landscape, regularly spitting fire and testing the limits of rocket engineering. While the first orbital flights of the full Starship and Super Heavy stack continued to face challenges, the sheer progress made within a few short years was undeniable. It demonstrated that no ambition was too grand for Elon Musk, and that his companies were playing an ever-increasing role in shaping not just the present, but the potential future of humanity. The dream of making humanity a multiplanetary species, once confined to science fiction, now had a tangible, if still developing, ship. Chapter 13, The Twitter Takeover, a Digital Revolution. Even as Elon Musk steered his primary ventures towards their ambitious horizons, an entirely new target began to dominate his public attention: Twitter. For years, the social media platform had been his primary communication tool, an unfiltered megaphone to the world, used for everything from company announcements and engaging with fans to feuding with critics and sharing memes. But by 2022, his engagement with Twitter transcended mere usage. It became an obsession, culminating in one of the most contentious and transformative corporate takeovers in modern history. Musk's criticisms of Twitter were long-standing and publicly vocal. He lamented what he perceived as its restrictive content moderation policies, arguing it stifled free speech and acted as a de facto public square that was not adhering to free speech principles. He also criticized its technical stagnation, its reliance on advertising rather than subscriptions, and its perceived inability to stamp out spam bots and fraudulent accounts. For Musk, Twitter was a vital component of democracy and discourse, but one that was failing to live up to its potential utility for humanity. The initial approach was characteristic of Musk's unconventional style. In January 2022, he began quietly acquiring significant shares in Twitter. By March, he was the company's largest single shareholder, owning over 9% of the stock. This revelation sent shockwaves through the financial world and Twitter's corporate offices. Initially, Twitter extended an offer for Musk to join its board of directors, which he accepted. However, within days, he rejected the board seat, a move that stunned observers. His subsequent actions made his ultimate intention clear. He didn't want to be part of Twitter, he wanted to own it. On April 14, 2022, Musk launched a hostile takeover bid, offering to buy Twitter outright for $54.20 per share, valuing the company at approximately $44 billion. He described it as his best and final offer, asserting that he was acting not for financial gain, but out of a conviction that Twitter needed to be transformed into a platform truly dedicated to free speech and open dialogue. This unsolicited bid was met with immediate resistance from Twitter's board, which initially adopted a poison pill defense to prevent the takeover. What followed was a dramatic, months-long saga played out in full public view. Musk secured financing from a consortium of banks and investors. He publicly questioned Twitter's reported number of spam bots, implying the company was inflating its user metrics. The deal seemed to falter, with Musk formally attempting to terminate the acquisition in July, citing Twitter's alleged failure to provide sufficient data on bot accounts. Twitter, in turn, sued Musk to force him to complete the merger, arguing he was attempting to back out of a legally binding agreement. The legal battle escalated, threatening to drag Musk into a lengthy court fight in Delaware. Facing the prospect of a forced acquisition or a massive termination fee, Musk dramatically reversed course in October, announcing he would proceed with the original $44 billion deal. On October 27, 2022, Elon Musk officially acquired Twitter, immediately taking the company private and renaming it X in a further nod to his past business ventures and his broader vision for an everything app. The takeover immediately initiated a period of intense upheaval. Musk quickly dissolved the board of directors, fired several top executives, and laid off a significant portion of the workforce, arguing that the company was overstaffed and inefficient. He introduced radical changes to content moderation policies, reinstating previously banned accounts, including that of former President Donald Trump, and establishing a new freedom of speech, not reach, principle. He attempted to pivot the company's business model away from its reliance on advertising towards subscriptions, e.g., Twitter Blue, later X Premium, and new features. The changes were met with a mix of enthusiastic support from those who championed his free speech stance and widespread alarm from advertisers, civil rights groups, and users concerned about a potential rise in misinformation, hate speech, and platform instability. Advertisers significantly cut spending, leading to a precipitous drop in revenue. The platform experienced technical glitches, and user engagement metrics became a subject of debate. The Twitter takeover was a stark illustration of Musk's untamed approach to problem-solving. Identifying a perceived flaw, acquiring control, and implementing radical, often chaotic, changes at lightning speed, regardless of established norms or immediate consequences. It cemented his public image as a disruptor of the highest order, willing to risk colossal sums of money and his own reputation to reshape a crucial piece of the global digital infrastructure, according to his personal convictions. The future of X under Musk's leadership remained a grand experiment in real time, its impact on global communications still unfolding and hotly debated. Chapter 14. The Relentless Innovator. Throughout his remarkable career, from the early days of Zip2 to the audacious undertakings of SpaceX and Tesla, and even the controversial acquisition of Twitter, Elon Musk's defining characteristic has been his relentless, often bewildering, approach to innovation. This chapter delves into the core tenets of his methodology. exploring the unique blend of first principles thinking, engineering culture, and sheer force of will that has allowed him to challenge entrenched industries and rewrite the rules of possibility. At the heart of Musk's innovative philosophy is what he calls first principles thinking. Rather than reasoning by analogy, that is, doing something because it's how it's always been done or how competitors do it, Musk insists on boiling problems down to their most fundamental truths. When confronted with the exorbitant cost of rockets, instead of accepting the prevailing price, he asked, "What are rockets made of? What is the cost of those raw materials?" This allowed him to identify inefficiencies and opportunities for radical cost reduction that others, operating within existing frameworks, simply overlooked. This approach demands a deep understanding of physics, engineering, and economics, allowing him to challenge assumptions and design solutions from the ground up, rather than incrementally improving existing ones. This translates into an engineering culture at his companies that prioritizes iterative design and rapid prototyping. At SpaceX, particularly with Starship, this means building, testing, and often blowing up prototypes in quick succession. Failures are not seen as setbacks, but as invaluable learning opportunities, data points that inform the next, improved iteration. This fail fast, learn faster mantra is antithetical to the risk-averse nature of traditional aerospace, which often spends decades on design before a single launch. Musk believes that the fastest way to understand complex systems is through real-world experimentation, even if it's spectacular. Another key aspect of his innovation strategy is his emphasis on speed over perfection. He argues that waiting to build the perfect product means you're too late. Instead, he advocates for getting a working version out, iterating rapidly, and continually improving. This was evident in the Model 3's early struggles in production, where the assembly line from hell eventually yielded a functional car that could then be refined. This urgency is driven by his deep conviction that the future is arriving quickly, and humanity cannot afford to move slowly on issues like climate change or becoming a multiplanetary species. Musk also fosters an environment of extreme expectation and demand upon his employees. He sets seemingly impossible deadlines and stretch goals, pushing teams beyond what they believed they were capable of. This often leads to immense pressure, long hours, and high turnover. But it also cultivates a highly motivated and results-oriented environment where exceptional progress can be made. He demands mastery from his engineers and often demonstrates a granular understanding of technical details, allowing him to challenge their assumptions and push for more radical solutions. He cultivates a culture of direct feedback, where bad news travels fast and problems are addressed bluntly. His willingness to tackle multiple, vastly different, large-scale problems simultaneously is another remarkable facet of his innovation. While most entrepreneurs focus on one disruptive idea, Musk has concurrently pursued renewable energy, electric vehicles, reusable rocketry, high-bandwidth brain interfaces, and even urban tunnel transport. This diversification of grand challenges allows him to see opportunities for cross-pollination of ideas and technologies, furthering his integrated vision for humanity's future. Finally, and perhaps most controversially, Musk's innovation is fueled by a profound belief in the power of direct, unfiltered communication. His use of social media to declare intentions, engage with critics, and promote his ideas is unprecedented for a CEO of his stature. While this has frequently led to turbulence and legal challenges, it also enables him to galvanize immense public interest, recruit top talent, and build a unique, brand-loyal community around his companies and their missions. It reflects his conviction that transparency, even if messy, accelerates progress. In essence, Elon Musk's relentless innovation process is a chaotic blend of intellectual rigor, engineering pragmatism, extreme ambition, and an almost messianic zeal for the future. He is not merely an inventor or an entrepreneur. He is an orchestrator of massive, complex systems, constantly redefining technological boundaries by daring to ask the fundamental questions and then relentlessly pursuing their most radical answers. He is a testament to what can be achieved when an individual combines unfettered vision with an uncompromising will to execute. Chapter 15. The persona and the paradox. Beyond the boardrooms and factory floors, beyond the rockets and electric cars, lies the public persona of Elon Musk. A figure of such intense fascination, controversy, and influence that it often eclipses the very companies he leads. His public image is a complex tapestry woven from visionary pronouncements, unfiltered social media outbursts, and an almost superhuman dedication to his work, making him one of the most recognized and debated personalities of the 21st century. Musk's public image is fundamentally shaped by his grand, often utopian, visions for humanity. He speaks passionately about making humanity a multiplanetary species, creating sustainable energy grids, and solving urban congestion. These are not incremental improvements, but existential leaps, appealing to a deep human desire for progress and a better future. This visionary rhetoric garners him immense admiration and a devoted following, who see him as a real-life Tony Stark, a singular force driving humanity forward. He strategically employs humor, memes, and an approachable, often endearingly awkward, authenticity that helps him connect with a younger, digitally native audience eager for leaders who don't conform to corporate archetypes. However, this same persona is frequently entangled in paradox. The man who champions free speech often uses his platform to silence or criticize those who contradict him. The technologist obsessed with logical solutions can sometimes appear wildly impulsive. His often unfiltered social media presence, while bypassing traditional media, also creates an environment ripe for miscommunication, controversy, and outright gaffes. Tweets about his personal life, company events, or broad societal issues frequently become front-page news, influencing stock prices, public opinion, and sometimes leading to legal ramifications, as seen with the SEC settlement. His management style, as glimpsed through various reports and anecdotes, is as demanding as his public self is unconventional. He operates with an almost monomaniacal focus, expecting the same from his teams. Stories abound of grueling work hours, intense pressure, and an expectation of radical candor. He is known for directly challenging employees, dismissing ideas he deems illogical without ceremony, and demanding constant innovation. While this approach has undoubtedly driven his companies to achieve feats previously thought impossible, it has also led to high employee turnover and accusations of creating a toxic, highly stressful work environment. He values intellect and hard work above all else, often stating that passion is just as important as skill. Critics abound, ranging from financial analysts who question his company's valuations and business models, to ethicists who raise concerns about his technologies and public behavior, to former employees who recount difficult work experiences. He is often accused of over-promising and under-delivering on timelines, particularly with features like full self-driving. And his past public statements have been scrutinized for accuracy and consistency. Detractors see him as a charlatan, a privileged billionaire who wields immense power irresponsibly. Yet, his defenders are equally fervent. They point to the tangible achievements, putting private rockets into orbit, popularizing electric vehicles, and fundamentally reshaping the automotive industry. They argue that his intensity is necessary to achieve his monumental goals, and that his unconventional communication is a refreshing antidote to bland corporate speak. His followers often view the criticisms as jealousy or a failure by traditionalists to grasp his radical vision. Glimpses into his personal life, though often fleeting and curated, reveal a man deeply absorbed in his work, often to the detriment of conventional routines. He has famously slept on factory floors, prioritized engineering over social niceties, and maintained a demanding schedule that would break most. He has children from multiple relationships, and these family aspects often become part of the public narrative, intertwining personal life with corporate performance. In essence, Elon Musk is more than a CEO. He is a force of nature, a lightning rod for both adoration and derision. The paradox of his persona, the rigorous engineer who tweets memes, the free speech absolutist who can be thin-skinned, the visionary who sometimes appears out of touch, is an endless source of fascination. It's this complex, often contradictory blend of genius and human imperfection that makes him utterly unique and central to understanding the disruptive waves emanating from his enterprises. He is not merely an entrepreneur. He is a symbol of a particular kind of 21st century ambition, driven by a profound, if sometimes chaotic, desire to shape the future. Chapter 16, The Musk Legacy, Shaping the Century. As the third decade of the 21st century unfolds, it becomes increasingly clear that Elon Musk's ventures are not merely disruptive businesses. They are forces actively shaping the trajectory of human civilization. His legacy will not be defined by a single invention or company, but by the profound, multifaceted impact he has had on industries, technology, societal consciousness, and humanity's aspirational goals. Perhaps his most undeniable legacy lies in the electric vehicle revolution. Before Tesla, electric cars were widely considered slow, impractical, and undesirable novelties. The Tesla Roadster, and more importantly, the Model S and Model 3, shattered these perceptions. Tesla proved that electric cars could be fast, luxurious, stylish, and offer significant range. This created a profound ripple effect across the entire automotive industry, forcing established giants like General Motors, Volkswagen, Ford, and Mercedes-Benz to invest hundreds of billions of dollars into electrification programs, rapidly accelerating the transition away from fossil fuel-dependent vehicles. While the fully sustainable energy future is still some way off, Musk almost single-handedly injected the necessary urgency and desirability into the electric vehicle market, effectively pulling the industry, kicking and screaming, into the future. In space exploration, SpaceX has fundamentally altered the paradigm. When Musk founded the company, space launches were the purview of national space agencies and a handful of large, traditional aerospace contractors. Launches were infrequent, immensely costly, and largely involved expendable rockets. SpaceX, through its relentless focus on reusability and efficiency, has dramatically driven down the cost of access to space. The Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets have become the workhorses of the launch industry, sending satellites, cargo, and even astronauts to orbit. The Starship program, once fully operational, promises to lower costs even further, potentially making space travel an increasingly routine activity and ushering in an era of space tourism and commercial space stations. More than just technical achievements, SpaceX has reignited humanity's collective imagination for space, reminding us that the dream of exploring other worlds is within reach. His ventures have also profoundly impacted manufacturing and automation. Tesla's struggles in production hell with the Model 3, while painful, forced a radical rethinking of factory automation and exposed the limitations of traditional robotic assembly lines. Despite the initial setbacks, Tesla has become a leader in innovative manufacturing techniques, pushing the boundaries of what is possible in large-scale, high-quality production, and proving that a software-first approach can be applied even to heavy industry. Beyond specific industries, Musk has championed first principles thinking as a problem-solving methodology, influencing a new generation of entrepreneurs and engineers to question assumptions and build from the ground up. He has popularized the idea of forcing functions and radical iteration within complex engineering challenges, proving that speed and adaptation can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. However, Musk's legacy is not without its complexities and challenges. His management style has been criticized for fostering intense pressure and high turnover. His public persona and use of social media, while effective at garnering attention and driving loyal advocacy, have also led to controversies, legal battles, and accusations of hypocrisy or recklessness. Critics question the feasibility of some of his more grandiose timelines, e.g., full self-driving, Mars colonization, and the financial stability of companies that often operate on the edge. The Twitter X acquisition represents a stark example of the double-edged sword of his influence, demonstrating his willingness to fundamentally alter global communication channels based on his personal convictions, with unpredictable long-term consequences. Looking forward, Musk's ultimate legacy will depend on whether his most ambitious projects come to full fruition. Can Starship reliably and affordably transport humans to Mars? Will Neuralink successfully unlock profound human-computer interfaces? Can the Boring Company mitigate urban congestion? The answers to these questions will shape the extent of his impact. Yet, regardless of the full realization of every grand vision, Elon Musk has undeniably carved out a unique place in history. He has demonstrated that relentless ambition, coupled with an unwavering belief in solving fundamental problems through technological innovation, can transform industries and inspire millions. His companies are forcing humanity to confront critical questions about energy, transportation, and our place in the universe. He represents a powerful, often polarizing, embodiment of the entrepreneurial spirit at its most audacious. A man who, far more than most, is actively attempting to write the next chapter of human history. Chapter 17, The Future is Now and Later. The landscape of Elon Musk's ventures is a dynamic, evolving ecosystem, perpetually on the cusp of the next breakthrough, yet often bogged down in the complex realities of engineering, manufacturing, and legal battles. As we look at the immediate future, several key areas stand out that will define the next phase of his impact, and by extension, our own. Tesla's continued evolution. Having conquered the luxury and mainstream sedan markets with the Model S, X, and 3, Tesla is now expanding its portfolio. The Cybertruck, with its radically unconventional design and stainless steel exoskeleton, represents a bold foray into the highly lucrative pickup truck market. Its production ramp-up has been a significant challenge, echoing the production hell endured by the Model 3, and will be a major test of Tesla's manufacturing maturity. Beyond the Cybertruck, the long-promised and much-anticipated robotaxi network, predicated on achieving true full self-driving, FSD, remains a holy grail. The complete realization of FSD would not only redefine personal transportation, but also unlock the fourth pillar of his master plan: cars making money for their owners, transforming Tesla into a mobility services provider. The timeline for this, however, remains fluid and highly controversial, dependent on technological advancements and regulatory approvals. SpaceX's Mars imperative. While Falcon 9 and Dragon continue to be workhorses for satellite launches and crewed missions to the International Space Station, the overriding focus for SpaceX's future is Starship. Its successful, regular, and rapid reusability is paramount to Musk's vision of colonizing Mars. The ongoing test campaigns from Boca Chica, Texas, featuring integrated launches of the Starship and Super Heavy booster, are critical milestones. Each test yields invaluable data, pushing the boundaries of rocket design and operational efficiency. The next steps involve demonstrating orbital refueling, a necessary capability for deep space missions, and eventually, successful human test flights. The challenges are enormous, encompassing propulsion, heat shielding, structural integrity, and life support systems, but the progress has been undeniable. The scale of the Starship enterprise suggests that the early 2030s could realistically see the first uncrewed, and then crewed, missions to Mars, laying the groundwork for permanent human settlements. The ambitions of X, formerly Twitter. Following the turbulent acquisition, the future of X is a subject of intense debate. Musk's declared vision is to transform it into the Everything app, a comprehensive platform for communication, financial services, news, and more, similar to WeChat in China. This requires not only stabilizing the platform and enticing advertisers back, but also fundamentally reinventing its user experience and business model. The ongoing efforts to integrate payment systems, video, and other functionalities, alongside a controversial push for content monetization models, will determine whether X can shed its primary identity as a social media platform and become a more ubiquitous digital service, a concept Musk believes is vital for open information flow. Neuralink's leap forward. While less visible to the public than Tesla or SpaceX, Neuralink continues its groundbreaking work on brain-computer interfaces. The immediate future involves clinical trials on human patients, initially focusing on restoring functionality for individuals with severe paralysis. Successful demonstrations of direct brain control over external devices would be a monumental achievement, paving the way for broader medical applications. The long-term vision of cognitive enhancement, while still firmly in the realm of science fiction, remains the driving motivation for Musk. reflecting his concern for humanity's symbiotic evolution with AI. The Boring Company's urban promise. Efforts to alleviate urban congestion through underground tunnels continue, particularly in Las Vegas, where a loop system is operational beneath the convention center and expanding. The vision of a network of high-speed underground tunnels for vehicle transport remains a long-term goal. The key challenges lie scaling up tunneling speed and reducing costs to make such infrastructure viable for cities around the world. Collectively, these ventures represent a massive, ongoing experiment in global engineering and societal transformation. They exemplify Musk's belief that fundamental problems, no matter how complex or entrenched, can be solved through radical technological innovation and a relentless, often brutal, application of resources and ingenuity. The future, as designed by Elon Musk, is not a gradual evolution, but a series of accelerated leaps, fueled by a singular, audacious vision for humanity. Whether these leaps ultimately lead to a utopian future or unravel into unforeseen challenges remains to be seen, but the journey itself promises to be one of the most compelling narratives of our time. Chapter 18, Epilogue. Mars or Bust. As the narrative of Elon Musk's life and ventures unfolds, one question invariably lingers, overarching all others. What truly defines his ultimate vision? For Musk, the answer is often encapsulated in a single, audacious phrase: Mars or bust. It's an almost literal directive, representing not just the colonization of another planet, but the very essence of humanity's future, its ability to persevere, adapt, and expand beyond its terrestrial cradle. The drive for Mars is not merely an engineering challenge for Musk, it's a philosophical imperative. He believes that for humanity to ensure its long-term survival, it must become a multiplanetary species. This conviction stems from a profound concern for existential risks, asteroid impacts, supervolcanoes, global pandemics, or even a third world war. Should a catastrophic event render Earth uninhabitable, a self-sustaining colony on Mars would serve as a vital backup, preserving human consciousness and civilization. It is the ultimate insurance policy. Beyond mere survival, Musk envisions Mars as a catalyst for human progress. The sheer challenge of colonizing a new world would, he argues, ignite a new era of innovation, scientific discovery, and human cooperation on a scale never before seen. It would provide an aspirational goal, a grand unifying project to inspire generations and push the boundaries of what is possible. The drive for Mars, in this sense, is not just about moving humanity to another planet. It's about pushing humanity's potential. This ultimate vision colors every aspect of his current endeavors. SpaceX exists to get to Mars. Tesla's mission for sustainable energy on Earth directly relates to the energy systems needed for an off-world colony. Neuralink aims to enhance the very consciousness that might one day dwell on Mars, and the Boring Company's tunneling expertise could be invaluable for building Martian settlements. His businesses are not disparate entities. They are interconnected pieces of a grand, multi-decade strategy to secure humanity's future. But the path to Mars, both literal and metaphorical, is fraught with immense challenges. Critics point to the incredible engineering hurdles yet to be fully overcome. Making Starship reliably and fully reusable, developing closed-loop life support systems for long-duration space travel, establishing self-sufficiency on a hostile planet lacking an atmosphere, and, perhaps most critically, ensuring the psychological well-being of early Martian colonists. Beyond the technical, there are profound ethical and societal questions. Who owns Mars? What are the implications of creating a new society off-world? How will resources be managed, and what form of governance will prevail? These are not easily answered, and Musk's singular focus on technological solutions sometimes overlooks the complex human and political dimensions of such monumental undertakings. Then there is the personal toll on Musk himself. The relentless drive, the public controversies, the constant scrutiny, these are the consequences of taking on challenges of this magnitude. He is a polarizing figure, equally revered as a visionary and reviled as a provocateur. Yet, whether admired or condemned, his impact is undeniable. He has moved the needle, forcing entire industries to accelerate change, inspiring millions to dream bigger, and most importantly, making the impossible seem slightly less so. In the end, Musk's legacy will be measured not just by the rockets he launched or the cars he sold, but by whether he fundamentally altered humanity's trajectory. Did he inspire enough people, overcome enough obstacles, and build enough infrastructure to shift humanity's destiny from a single-planet species subject to extinction to a multiplanetary civilization with boundless potential? The Mars or bust mantra encapsulates this ultimate wager. It's a bet on human ingenuity, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of a self-made future. And for better or worse, the world is now invested in whether his audacious gamble will pay off. The journey is far from over, and humanity continues to watch, captivated, as Elon Musk pushes toward his final frontier.